everybody, it's Kelly here from Crafting a Cuppa. I'm just going to do a quick little tutorial on how to do this double cross stitch that I've used for my Pixie Patterns collection. So yeah, basically we are going to be working over 3 stitches. We're going to be placing 2 double crochets and then we're going to come back on ourselves and cross it over. That's why I call this one the double cross stitch, because there's also another stitch out. Some people call that other one the double cross stitch. I always learnt that one as being a regular cross stitch where you just cross 2 double crochets. Some people call that the double cross stitch. I've always known it as a cross stitch. That's why I've called this one the double cross stitch, because we're working over 2 double crochets. That probably makes no sense whatsoever, but just go with it. Yeah? Right, shall we do it? Okay, so if you're here because you are following one of my Pixie patterns and you just want a bit of guidance on the stitch, then use the measurements and the stitch counts that are provided in the pattern. If you've come here because you think, do you know, I want to use that in a blanket, or I'm going to use it for something else, then I'm going to show you how to calculate how many chains and things like that you need. So you are going to be working in multiples of 3, then plus an extra 2 after you've done your multiples of 3, and that is going to be, the extra 2 are going to be for a chain 3 at one end and a double crochet at the other, and that keeps your work straight. So this is working in rows. Okay, you're going to need a multiple of 3 plus an extra 2 stitches. So I'm going to have like 4 or 5, yeah, looking at this actually, I'm going to go for 5 double cross stitches. So 5 times 3 is 15, and then I'm going to have to add an extra 2, so I need to chain 17. Now I like to go up 1 hook size, so for my work I've got an Aran weight yarn here and a 6mm hook, but because I'm chaining I like to go up 1 hook size to stop my chain being too tight. So I'm now going to use a 6.5 just for chaining purposes only. So I'm doing 5, that's what I said, wasn't it? 5 double cross stitches. So that's 15, and then plus the extra 2 makes my chain 17. So excuse me while I just go quiet for a moment. Okay, so I've done 17 chains. What I'm going to do now is swap out my hook and go to my normal hook that I'm going to be using throughout my pattern. So what we're going to do is a row of single crochet and then a row of double cross stitches. You don't have to do the single crochet row, but this is what it is for my Pixie patterns. So we're just going to go with that for now. And it looks nice. So to start the row, I'm going to chain 1 more because that's going to be the start of when I do my single crochet, and this is not going to count as my first stitch. So I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to come into the very first chain and do a single crochet, and then I'm going to do a single crochet in every stitch, and I should have 17. I say every stitch, every chain, you know what I mean, don't you? I hope. I've stopped counting, so that's great. Okay, so I'm going to keep putting single crochets in every single chain until I get to the end, and I should have 17 single crochets. So I'll meet you here when I get back to the end. Okay, so I have added a single crochet in every chain and I have got 17 single crochets. So now it's time to do the double cross stitch row. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 3, and that's going to class as your first double crochet. We're going to chain 3 and we're going to turn our work around. Now that right there looks like a stitch, but that is not. That is the base of the chain 3. So what we need to do is we need to skip the next stitch. Do not think that that's your first stitch, because it isn't. You're going to have to skip the next stitch because your chain 3 classes as a stitch, and that right there looks like that is your first stitch. It's not. You need to come to the next one along, and you're going to skip that next one along, and then you're going to come to the next one after that, and you're going to place a double crochet in there. So it almost looks like you've skipped 2 stitches, but you haven't, because that is the base of the chain 3. It can be a bit confusing. Skip the next stitch and go in the next one with a double crochet. Then you're going to come to the next stitch and place another double crochet. And now to do the crossover, you're going to come back to that stitch that you skipped, and you are going to place a double crochet in this stitch. You kind of need to bring up a loop that's kind of like the same height as your stitches. Otherwise it might be a bit tight. So yarn over and come through 2, yarn over, come through the next 2, just like a regular double crochet, and there you have your first double cross stitch. So again, that stitch has got the last double crochet that I did before I did my next, before I did the crossover, sorry. So we're going to come to the next stitch along, and we're going to skip that first stitch, come to the next one and put a double crochet in there. So you always skip the first stitch, then you place a double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then you come back to that skip stitch and you put another double crochet in there, coming across these 2 double crochets right here. And that's why I call it a double cross stitch, because you're coming over 2 double crochets. In that skip stitch, pull up a big loop and then make your regular double crochet. So now we have 2 double cross stitches. So skip the next stitch, come into the next one with a double crochet, and then the next one with a double crochet, and then come backwards to your skipped stitch right at the beginning and place a double crochet in there. Again, skip the next stitch, come to your next one with a double crochet, then another double crochet in the next stitch, and then come back to the skipped stitch right before you placed your 2 doubles and put a double crochet in there. I now have 4 double cross stitches. Last one for me, so I'm going to skip the next stitch, come to the next stitch and put a double crochet, and then the next stitch with a double crochet, and then I'm going to come back to my skipped stitch and put a double crochet in there. If I can get it in there, there we go. And then that should leave you with 1 stitch left. If you've got 2 stitches left, it's more than likely going to be right from the very beginning that you didn't skip the right stitch, because like that's why I really said about the chain 3 and the base of the chain 3 looking like the first stitch that you have to skip. It's not. It's definitely not. You have to skip the stitch next to it. So usually if you have 2 stitches left, that is the reason why. So you're going to have to forget and make sure you skip the proper first stitch, not the base of the chain 3. So I now have 1 stitch left. And in that last stitch, we're going to place a double crochet. And then your next row, you're going to chain 1, turn your work and place a single crochet in every stitch. And my stitch count is 17. So I should place a single crochet in every stitch and I should have 17 single crochets. I'll do one more row of double cross stitch with you. I might change my colour, I think, so you can see maybe a bit better. I don't know if you will or not, but we'll try it. We'll try it. So your single crochets are going in every stitch, and the final single crochet is going to go in the top of the chain 3 from the previous row. So you might need to give it a little wiggle, just to wiggle your hook through the top 2 loops of the chain 3. Oh, hang on, I'm changing colour, so I'm just going to finish off my stitch with a different colour. Let me grab this blue. I'm just going to finish off this stitch with a new colour to change it. Pull that through. Grab my working end. So, double cross stitch row. We're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn our work. Bonk. Now you can see it a bit easier. If it's all the same colour, it's a bit harder to tell that looks like it's going to be your first stitch. Now that I've got a different colour in it, I can clearly see that is definitely not my first stitch. So you need to skip the next stitch. We always start our double crochet, double cross stitch by skipping the first stitch. So skip the first stitch, which is this one, not the base of the chain 3, which you can see more clearly now because I've changed my colour. But if you're using the same colour, it's really, really hard to tell that is not the first stitch. So I'm skipping this stitch right here and I'm coming in my next stitch with a double crochet. And then a double crochet in the next stitch. And then I'm going to come back to this skip stitch right here and I'm going to put another double crochet across the last 2 double crochets we've just done. Pull up a big loop for that and make a double crochet. And there we have it, another double cross stitch. So again, skip the next stitch, come to the next one and put a double crochet in there. And then a double crochet in the next stitch. Come back to your skipped stitch and put a double crochet in there, pulling up a big loop like so. Skip the next stitch, come to your next one and put a double crochet in there and double crochet in your next stitch and then come back to your skipped stitch, if I can get in there. Pull up a loose loop, hang on, I need a bit of yarn, sorry, and then work a double crochet. And that's what you should be having. It gives a lovely little texture. Again, skip your next stitch and come to the next one and put a double crochet in there, double crochet in the next stitch, come back to your skipped stitch and put a double crochet in there, pulling up a nice big loop for that so it stretches across the 2 stitches. I've got one more left to place, so I'm going to skip my next stitch put a double crochet in the next one, and a double crochet in the one after that, and then come back to my skipped stitch and put a double crochet in there. And that's left me with one stitch left for my last double crochet. Remember, if you have 2 stitches, it's probably because you've not skipped the right stitch at the beginning. Easy done, very easy done. But once you get into the swing of it, you'll be like, ah, yes, I know what I'm doing now. And then your next row will be single crochet, and then your next row will be the cross stitch. If you wanted to, you could do cross stitch, cross stitch, cross stitch, cross stitch. What am I saying? That sounded a bit weird. That's how it looks on the opposite side. So you could have, if you did it like all of it, just double cross stitches, you would have opposite slopes, which could look quite cool. One going this way, next row go that way, next row go that way, and so forth and so forth. But yes, there you have it. Hopefully you can make some lovely things of it, and if you do, please tag me in it. I'd love to see them. Thank you so much for joining me with this little quick tutorial. Hopefully I'll see you again soon.